Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of 7 Minutes in Control with Rob Allen and Michael Bonner. We've got a special guest for you today. His name is Ron Poskovic, and he's from Blue Ridge Technologies. He's got a excellent company that he's involved with, and an excellent product for that matter too. I've had the pleasure of working with him several times, and want to bring him on to tell him a little bit about his company, Blue Ridge Technologies, and talk about a few different topics. We're going to try and cram all this into 7 minutes, because we are 7 minutes or less, which always is less than 10 minutes, and always longer than 4 minutes. So just remember that. Basically, the agenda for today is he's going to run down really quickly the product offering, and then give you a better understanding of the energy code and how you can leverage that to your benefit in the market, and then also how you, the HVAC contractor, can really make a name for yourself and capitalize on some opportunities with lighting control that you may not have known that you would be able to do that. So if we have to break this out into two parts, we'll do that. But our goal is, of course, to just have one 7-minute control. So with that, let me go ahead and introduce Ron Poskovic with Blue Ridge Technologies. And Ron, go ahead and if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about Blue Ridge, the history, and then go right on into that product offering.
Great, thanks, Rob. Glad to be here. We're based here in Atlanta, kind of near you guys, and it's kind of exciting to be as part of this new Google Hangout thing. So appreciate the invite. I'm sharing my screen here with you guys to kind of give you a rough idea. We're focused on providing unified lighting control, and that makes lighting control part of the building automation system rather than a separate standalone system or what you might refer to as a gateway integration methodology. So we focus a lot of our time and effort on BACnet-based products, and we've had a lot of success doing that. And we think there's an opportunity for the HVAC controls contractors to get into lighting control, because it's another energy management tool for their customers, as well as something that they probably understand a little bit about is selling energy savings and energy management systems. So what I also wanted to kind of mention was what's driving our market a little bit. So let me switch gears here and go to a different screen. And that is the energy codes. Here in Georgia and in Florida, there are ASHRAE 90.1 or International Energy Conservation Code requirements. They basically are kind of interlinked there, roughly 2 years apart. So ASHRAE 90.1 2007 is essentially the equivalent of IECC, the International Energy Conservation Code 2009. And they have requirements in that for not only HVAC controls, but also for lighting controls. And I wanted to spend a little time kind of educating the folks about what that means to them. In Section 505 of the International Energy Conservation Code, there are mandatory provisions or requirements for lighting controls. With the ASHRAE 90.1 2007 and the IEC 2009, those are essentially equivalent of each other. That's what's required in those two states, and you can see from the other states there's similar requirements. Inside that energy code, there are requirements for not only HVAC but also lighting, and I wanted to spend some time on some of the mandatory requirements as it relates to lighting controls. And the two specific ones I wanted to spend time on are the ones around automatic shutoff, and you can do that via either an occupancy sensor, as they describe here in the code under 505 2.2.2, or you can do that through scheduling base. And either of those work really well, but those are mandatory requirements for pretty much all commercial buildings. There's something new that they've added in recently as well, which is something called daylight zone control, which is in areas where there are where daylight is being contributed to that space. You also have to have some form of separate control or separate control zone for most of those areas where daylight is being brought into the building. So what that's doing in a lot of places is, as an example, I use classrooms. It's taking what used to be, say, a straight aux sensor application. Now it includes daylight harvesting, and you're looking at a higher point density because there are more relays or more zones in that classroom now to deal with. So It's really driving more of a distributed control architecture. So that kind of brings me back a little bit, maybe to our product, to help you understand how we solve some of those issues. So we'll talk a little bit about the differences in distributed controls versus centralized controls. So if you think about centralized, you guys can see the PowerPoint, I'm guessing, right?
Yep, we're looking good.
So the centralized control is, you put a box back in the electrical closet. It's fed by a single 20-amp breaker. There might be multiple relays in that panel, and then you're controlling, I'll call it a large area of lighting, big box areas within a building. The other option is to go more distributed, and that's really driven by the point density in the application. And that's another control strategy, but it just basically takes the relay and moves it local to that space so you can minimize home run wiring and things along those lines. But in either case, they're both BACnet-based products. They tightly integrate into the building automation system, and it gives them a really good capability to take control of their lighting, whether it's a centralized or distributed architecture.
That's super neat stuff. The real quick, do you have? I think we got a little bit of time here, and I think we'll probably end up doing is kind of giving the benefits to the contractor. But I think that people would really benefit from seeing that zone controller. Do you think you could bring that up and give us a quick overview of how that zone controller could work? And probably got about another minute and a half before our 7 minutes are up.
Okay, well, great. It's a good question, and you actually led right into the next couple of slides. So let me kind of skip forward here. So Rob was asking about the zone controller. That's our new distributed controller. The idea of this distributed controller is that it mounts to a 4-square or 411/16 junction box. So it's easily retrofittable, or you can use it for new construction. Typically for new construction, it'll install in less than 15 minutes. And a more complicated retrofit scenario might be a little bit more than that. But the nice thing is that you don't have to recircuit. There's no new wires required, and you can use the existing line voltage wiring that's already in place and basically take control of those lights. Once you've installed the unit, then you have the capability of interfacing with a lot of different devices. As an example, there's up to 6 universal inputs on the module, so that could be dry contacts, occupancy sensors, or light sensors, and things along those lines. So that's a general quick overview on the zone controller, and hopefully you'll take a little closer look on our website when you get some time.
Michael, do you think zone controller is pretty neat? What kind of applications do you think our guys could use that zone controller in?
It's huge in retrofit. I mean, you got the 4-square box already above the ceiling, pop the cover off, put the zone controller right there on it, and you've just retrofitted the whole room for lighting control.
Very good, very good. All right, guys, this is part 1 of Blue Ridge Technologies. We're going to shoot another 7 minutes of control right after this and talk about how you, the contractor, can get involved in lighting control. But in true 7-minute control fashion, I'm going to give Michael Bonner the last 30 seconds. So, Mike, bring us home, baby.
Going back to the zone control, I think that that's going to be the key piece. That's huge for in their product offering. Everybody's got relay panels, but I think the zone controller is what sets Blue Ridge apart.
Excellent. Thanks so much, guys. Thank you for joining us for 7 minutes of control. This is Rob Allen on behalf of Michael Bonner and Ron Poskovic of Blue Ridge Technologies. See you again soon.